All right, welcome to the Movement Detox Podcast. I'm Brian Mitchelson, and we're going to talk about all things getting out of pain, getting in shape, and improving the way you move. We're going to go through mobility and maintenance routines, corrective exercise, and biomechanics-based training to optimize the way we move. I'm going to bring on guests. A lot of the time it'll just be me going through things with you guys, but I'm going to show up live every day and be posting these podcasts for you guys as often as I can, right? I love to share this information. It's helped me so much, and I hope it helps you guys, right? You guys tuning in, love it. Let's get into it. So the feet and the ankle, they are the base of our system. We have evolved to be bipedal, which means we walk and run on 2 feet, right? Our feet are our contact with the ground. We've got to learn to be connected to these feet. And if we're having dysfunction at the feet, that's not uncommon. The modern man, we've been stuck in shoes that are sensory deprivation chamber from our feet, right? We don't know how to use our feet correctly since we were put in these shoes. So first and foremost, we need to get out of the shoes. We need to at least get wide toe box shoes where we can spread those toes, grab the ground, right? If you are having dysfunction at the feet, this is a corrective protocol that we're going to go through to make sure those feet are moving well. So we're going to start with a wonderful mobility ball. You guys, if you know these and have used them, they can hurt you. I don't want to hurt yourself with these, but they are there to apply pressure, to help you let go of tension and tightness that you're holding. So we're going to start by rolling the plantar fascia, this fascia at the bottom of our feet. So we're going to pop this mobility ball down. You can either stand up. I'm going to kneel so I can stay low with you guys here. But we're going to split the foot into 3 different quadrants. We're going to go top underneath our big toe, outside of the foot, and then down at the base close to our heel. So I'm going to put this mobility ball under my big toe, and I'm just going to roll around finding any tight spots. So what I'm going to do with these feet as I roll is attempt to spread my toes, like I'm spreading my hand like this. We're going to really attempt to spread the toes. You guys might find that you can't do this at first. You don't have that connection to your toes, but I really just want you to focus on it, think about it. You're going to take your pinky out and your big toe out. You know, like we can connect to each one of our fingers. At first, you'll find it hard to connect to each one of your toes. So just think big toe and pinky toe as wide as you can, all right? And you're going to roll, move around. Just any tightnesses, hold just a little bit. Boom. And just move around. Any tight spots you hold on, I got one there. I'm going to sit on it just a little bit and just get it to release and let go. You can move those toes up and down, kind of grab and release if you find a tight spot. Once it lets go, you're going to move to the other spot. So I'm rolling now the outside of this foot. Same thing. I'm really taking that pinky toe out as far as I can, rolling around, breaking up that tissue, that fascia. Right. Any restrictions, tightnesses, hold on them. And it's about allowing it to relax and let go. You're not beating it up and trying to break it up with the tension. That tension is allowing you to let your nervous system detach from that tension. You'll feel it just let go. Often these tightnesses that we have are not like physical scar tissue restrictions. Sometimes they are, but sometimes they are just our nervous system holding too tight to that muscle because of compensation. So we're protecting ourselves, right? Awesome. Spreading those toes, releasing. Now I'm going to go just to that base. So I'm taking care of this section at the bottom of my foot. Got that ball underneath there. And I'm just rolling around. Still spreading the toes. You can move those toes, spread and grab just a little bit as you release those spots. Right. Awesome. So you might spend 90 seconds, 2 minutes, maybe a little more, depending on how tight you are there. So that plantar fascia has released up for me just a little bit. I would swap sides, spread the toes. All right, remember, you start with this section underneath the big toe, move around, any tightnesses, you just get them to release and let go. Then you move to the outside of the foot, all right, release and let go, towards the heel, move around, allow that to release and let go. All right, once you've played around with that tension on the bottom of the foot using the mobility ball, you are now going to tuck your toes underneath you and let your knees go slowly to the ground. So you see there's a stretch on the plantar fascia, the bottom of my feet. So if you're new to this, you're going to have to be out in this crawl position. If your plantar fascia okay, they'll let you sit back just a little bit, but you can start by just being in a crawl position, right? And bending those toes backwards underneath you. We need that stretch and that length on the plantar fascia. For a lot of you, this will be painful and you'll feel a burning sensation, but you've got to hang with it for 60 to 90 seconds at least, maybe longer, right? Until you just find some releases there. So the goal is to be able to sit and have those tarsals, so your whole toe on the ground, right? So that head of your metatarsal, so basically that top of the ball of your foot, we want that to actually be on the ground. If your plantar fascia is very tight, your toes are going to lift that off the ground. So in time, that's what you want, to get that top of the ball of your foot down to the ground. Hang out there. You can do a couple of little pulses and you'll just get more and more comfortable the more time you spend there, the more often you do it. Right. Then what I would do, you can do this 2 feet at a time. We're going to spread the toes, grab the ground, spread the toes, grab the ground. I want you to do this with both feet at first. So you're going to spread the toes, grab the ground. You can do 15 to 30 reps. The reason I want you to do both feet is because you probably have a more coordinated foot. So let's say your right foot is more coordinated. You spread the toes, grab the ground. Your left foot will figure out what your right foot is doing, and it will learn from that. So much like you learn to throw with your right hand, that action of your right arm throwing can teach the left arm to throw, right? So you can do this together. And if you have any dysfunction in that left foot or that weaker foot, that less coordinated foot, it can learn from your more coordinated foot, right? It's a little bit technical, but that's what it's about. And you can do 1 foot at a time. That's just absolutely fine, right? Spread the toes, grab the ground, spread the toes, grab the ground. The goal isn't to get the arch as high as you can and as short as you can. Some people, overdo that. It's actually to spread the toes, grab the ground, and get that coordination and awareness through your feet. All right, love it. Once those feet are feeling good, we can leave the feet to relax and let go. And we're going to move in to the calves. Release any tightnesses and restrictions that we now have in the calves. Remember, guys, there are 2 main calf muscles, the gastrocnemius and the soleus. So the gastrocnemius is that big meaty calf muscle that gives it like that drumstick shape, and the soleus is a longer, thinner muscle that sort of lies underneath the gastrocnemius. So what we want to do is get into that with a foam roller, and you're pretty much going to be rolling just the gastrocnemius. You can start with the outside, put some pressure with your other leg, and you're going to roll above your Achilles tendon. So you don't have to really roll the Achilles tendon, so anything lower than this might just be uncomfortable and not really doing a lot of work for you. You're going to roll onto the gastrocnemius, start on the lateral side, the outside, right? Apply more pressure with the weight of your other leg if you can. You don't need to do that if you're already getting enough tension just with your foot on the ground. So roll up and down. When you feel any tight spots, hold for about 30 seconds. When you feel that tight spot, and it's important that you don't just roll up and down, you hold on it. You need to apply consistent tension for at least 30 seconds. That's how long it takes for the receptors in your tendons to stop telling that muscle to keep contracting. So tight muscle, over contraction, over neural stimulation. The tension that's provided by the foam roller gets that to relax and let go, but it takes time. Right. So after about 30 seconds, you'll feel some releases, and then you can roll up and down and flex that ankle towards yourself, dorsiflexion, and point the toe. Dorsiflexion, point the toe. Right. Once you've released some tightnesses there, you can roll to the medial side or the inside of the calf. Right. Apply pressure with the other leg again if you need some additional weight. And again, roll up and down. You might find some restrictions close to the knee or further away from the knee. Right, but you're going to hold in any tight spots, 30 seconds. When they release and let go, you can now flex, extend, flex, extend, flex, extend. All right. Again, you can keep those toes nice and spread throughout. Awesome. Once you've done both calves and you're comfortable with what's been going on there, and you've got all the tight spots, you are now going to move into a calf stretch, right? Gastrocnemius stretch. So with a straight knee, right, you are going to pop your hands or your fists on the ground, right? I'm going to stretch out my right foot, put my left foot behind my right, and let my right heel fall towards the ground. If you've got a lot of range there, you can walk your hands more forward. You see how that increases the dorsiflexion here on this right foot. Okay, so with a straight knee, I'm just going to let that heel fall nicely to the ground. All right. So I'm going to change angle so you can see. When I stretch this back foot, I don't want you to let that ankle collapse in. You want to keep that ankle straight and then let the heel drop towards the ground. So with a straight knee, we're stretching the gastrocnemius, right? And we're going to be here as long as you need. 60 seconds will be just fine. Then we're going to stay on the same side just because, you know, we're here, save a bit of time, and bend this back knee, right? When we bend this knee, we now move the stretch into the soleus. Remember I said there's two calf muscles, the gastrocnemius and the soleus. When we bend the knee, we get a better stretch on the soleus. So bend that knee. And watch out here that your ankle, again, doesn't collapse in. You want to keep that ankle and foot nice and straight. Spread the toes, grab the ground, and let the heel move slowly towards the ground. Keep the tension in your foot. Keep your foot and your toes grabbing the ground, and you're not going to go too far too soon. Right? A lot of people collapse in. They flatten their foot into the ground. Their toes aren't engaged. And then these stretches actually hurt them. Right? Spread the toes, grab the ground. Let the heel drop slowly down. Bent knee. All right. Awesome. Then you're going to swap sides. I'm now going to stretch the other foot. Okay. Hands on the ground. Lift the hips up. Right. Got that right foot behind the left. Okay. And with a straight knee, I'm stretching the gastrocnemius. Remember, if you need more range, you can walk your hands a little further forward. That increases the dorsiflexion. 60 seconds here. Then you can bend the knee. Keep the toes engaged, keep that foot and ankle straight, and bending the knee moves the stretch to the soleus. Okay, amazing. So if you keep those feet engaged, you won't stretch too deep, you won't collapse in, and you'll just get a nice stretch on that gastrocnemius, the soleus. Gastrocnemius with a straight knee, soleus with a bent knee. Love it. All right, now you've stretched out, you've mobilized those ankles much better. Now the release you've had in the calves is going to give you a better ankle position. Right. So now we've released up the plantar fascia, the bottom of the foot and the posterior side of the lower leg, right? So the gastrocnemius and the soleus, those big muscles that often have some tightness and tension, limiting us all from this dorsiflexion, this bend of the ankle. And if you're limited in dorsiflexion, the anterior tibialis, the muscles on the front of the shin, have to overwork, and you'll feel it when you run. This is why things like shin splints show up when the posterior side of the lower leg is much stronger. The anterior side of the lower leg really has to overwork to give you that dorsiflexion, and also dysfunction, increased impact when you land. Right? Awesome. So we're going to move in and now take this and integrate this release work we've done into the way we move. So the easiest way to do that is starting from the crawl. Okay, so we've corrected any imbalance that we might have at the ankle. Now we integrate it into the way we move, starting with the crawl. So toes tucked behind us, right? Hands below the shoulders, hips above the knees below the hips, right? So I'm here, I'm in this crawl position. If your toes are tucked, right, and you can get that base of the ball of your foot onto the ground, amazing. Now what you're going to do here, chin up, eyes forward, and you're just going to rock back into the hips. Feel those glutes and the hamstrings engage as if they're ready to push you forward. I don't want you to clench and squeeze your glutes because that rounds your back, cranks your femurs out. We don't want that. We don't want the clenching of the glutes. Let's stop that stuff. Right. we want to sit back into long glutes. Long glutes are ready to propel and move us forward, right? So we're rocking back into the hips. We're just pulsing a bit here. I want you to feel what's going on with your feet because that's what we're addressing today. Make sure you're not excessively rolling out or collapsing in on either foot. You're just feeling those toes grabbing the ground best they can. Even though they're in that tuck position, I want you to feel that connection of your toes to the ground. All right. And we're just going to pulse here. 30, 40, 50 reps, even more if you have the time, right? Nice. We're rocking back. You can move into lateral rocks, right? You can lift one hand, right? Alternate, right? But for today, we'll just go straight back and behind us, right? From here, if you are ready with those toes tucked, and if you can get your hips back far enough, you have enough length behind you, you're going to lift your hands off the ground, okay? To know if you're ready or not, right? You can go from this crawl position, sitting back, and as you lift your hands, not much should change, right? If you have to rock back to lift your hands, you're not quite ready to lift those hands. I'd rather you just raise your hands, put them on something, and lifted your chest further up, but still stayed supporting your hands. But if you can, those hands come off the ground. Now you've got 4 points contact on the ground, and you rock back into the hips, into long glutes. You pretend as if you're propelling yourself forward, as if you're priming, ready to move forward every time. Right, you'll feel this is actually quite exciting. You feel like, man, there's some potential here to move forward or jump or explode. Right, and you're going to stay here. 30, 40, 50, more reps if you have the time. Right, so we've gone from 6 points contact to 4 points contact with the ground, and now we progress up 2 points contact with the ground. 2 feet on the ground, index toes pointing straight, even slightly in. You're going to sit back into long glutes, right, and propel yourself forward. So this is very different to a normal squat where you crank out and drive your heels into the ground, ready to move up. That's not what we want today. We want to send the hips back as if we're ready to move forwards. Right, boom, and we're here. Just spreading the toes, grabbing the ground. Remember, we're here to address the feet and implement that better into the way we move. Right, so we're pulsing, ready to move forwards. Lovely. Right, awesome. 30, 40, 50 reps. You'll feel your hamstrings and your glutes really engage and wake up, ready to move you forwards. Right, the next evolution progression of this is stepping back and feeling the same thing on that front leg, ready to move yourself forward. Boom, boom, boom. Right, and you see that here. My head is over this load-bearing foot or the front foot, sitting back into my hips, ready to move forward. See how my shoulders are moving across slightly? Boom, boom. Right, this is very more advanced. I mean, we would have started this on the ground in a crawl, right, moving over to each side. You see how that applies up to the way you walk and run. And from here, you can really have a lot of fun in your athleticism. All right, guys, so that is the foot and the ankle corrective protocol, and how you integrate that into the way you move. So it's all well and good doing like foot and ankle corrective work where you roll and stretch. But if you're not taking that newfound balance and putting it back into the way you move, the way you crawl, walk, run, play, fight, whatever it is you're up to, it won't be a lasting change. And it's very likely that that injury recurs over and over again. So the goal of the corrective work is to create space so that you can change the way you move. You can change your biomechanics. So the corrective work is there to give you space to get into better postures and positions and improve your biomechanics. That's how you make a long-term change. So if you guys have been dealing with niggles, aches, pains, injuries, and the same injury keeps recurring over and over again, yeah, I know that happens. Those of you who are like, yeah, that happens. I know, I've dealt with the same thing. You need to take that corrective work you do when you do it and start to move better. And that's how you get rid of that pain, niggle, ache from here on. All right, love it, guys. So just to recap that foot and ankle corrective protocol, we started with foam rolling, releasing the bottom of the foot, holding on any tightnesses, spreading those toes, grabbing the ground, breaking up the foot into 3 little sections, right? where we worked on that plantar fascia. Okay. Then we tucked the toes underneath us and allowed them to stretch out in a crawl. If you can sit back, right, you can sit back just a little bit, holding there for 60 up to 90 seconds. All right. Then we're getting those toes moving better. Spread the toes, grab the ground, spread the toes, grab the ground. 15, 30 reps, even more. All right, get yourself really functioning better with those toes. Right, remember the toes, if you look down at your foot, they should be the widest part of the foot. They should be wider than this ball or base of your foot. If your pinky toes and big toes are in, that won't be the case. We want that, right? Spread the toes, grab the ground, right? We'll get better function there. Then we're foam rolling the gastrocnemius. All right, we're not going to be able to foam roll the soleus. It's deep and underneath there. There are massage therapists who will be able to do some release work there, but we're rolling the gastrocnemius. Then you're moving into a stretch of the gastrocnemius, then the soleus. The gastrocnemius is stretched with a straight knee, soleus stretched with a bent knee. Okay, then we're going to take that newfound length and balance in the ankle and take it into your biomechanics. From the crawl, which has 6 points contact with the ground, to 4 points contact with the ground, a rocker here, right? And then up to the feet, right? 2 points contact, right? Eventually progressing into split stances and moving and walking, but that's from another time. I just wanted to go linear today, and linear is better, bipedal, 2 feet on the ground, right? Bilateral is better when it comes to the ankle because you'll be able to feel out any differences. If your hip's shifting across, you know it's coming from one foot and ankle or the other. Love it, guys. Thanks for tuning in.